So let me just introduce myself. My name is Angela, and I am the host of the channel Time Out with Angela. And on the channel, guys, we do everything which is about a healthy lifestyle, healthy living, weight loss, wellness for all ages, but particularly if you're 50 plus. And on my journey to getting well, I have lost 12 stone, 3 pounds, which is 173 pounds on my channel. So yeah, I've lost 173 pounds, and I am a trained weight loss coach and also a trained menopause coach and a wellness coach. So on this channel, we do all sorts of things related to health and well-being and wellness. I talk a lot about the wellness journey and, give some coaching and some tips and hacks around wellness. And then I do lifestyle, so shopping hauls, food hauls, a little bit of cooking, clothing hauls. I love my garden, so I do gardening updates. I love to travel, so we do traveling reviews as well. So guys, on this channel we do all of those things, but today I've got 3 things that I want to share with you, and it's related to the weight loss journey. And today I'm going to share with you 3 things that I started to do on my journey that has helped me to lose 173 pounds and to keep it off. I'm going to share with you 3 things that has helped me to lose 173 pounds, but more importantly, what's helped me to keep it off, because we know that when we're on the weight loss journey, it's one thing losing weight, but another thing keeping it off, because for so many people it can go back on. And I've been there. I'm the first one to put my hands up. So yeah, for so many people, it's easy to lose the weight, but then it can go back on. So we're going to be looking at that, and I'm going to be sharing with you 3 things that's helped me with that. Last week, I did a live last week, and I looked at 3 things that I stopped doing. 3 things that I stopped doing that has helped me on my weight loss journey. So feel free to go and look at that live if you're interested in that. But I have edited all the waffle out, and I'm going to upload that as a video. So guys, let's get into this topic. Let's get straight in. I've got my notebook here, and I will be referring to it if you see me looking down. So the weight loss journey. When, losing weight at whatever age we are is so important, because carrying weight can have an impact on our health in so many different ways. So losing weight is really important for our overall health and wellness. As I know, just because I've lost 173 pounds, it doesn't miraculously take away all your health conditions. I suffer with a number of health conditions, and those will be with me whatever weight I'm at. But just losing the weight, it's it makes me feel good about myself. So before I get into this, I want to give you a bit of an analogy. Okay, and I have mentioned this analogy before. So imagine that you're on a journey. Yeah, it might be that you're going down the road, going somewhere, and it's 200 miles from where you start. Okay, and you're in your car and you speed off. You get off on your journey at a really, really good pace, and then like 2 miles into the journey, your car breaks down. Okay, it stops working, and you are focused and you are determined to get to your destination. You've got to get there. You've got to get there. So you know, because you know this route, that there is a, there's a station, a petrol station, a garage, 100 miles down the road. And the only way that you can get there is to walk to this garage, and it's 100 miles down the road. What would you do, guys? What would you do? Drop in the comments. What would you do? You're on a journey, you've broken down, and the only way to get to your destination is to walk. And it's 100 miles to get some help. What would you do? Would you just sit in the car and hope that somebody comes and get you? Would you walk back from where you came from? What would you do? A lot of people would think if where they're going is really important and they've got to get there, they've got no choice to get there, they would walk. They would walk. And you might start walking, and as you're walking, you might get really tired. You might stop for a little breather, but you know that you've got to keep going. You might even decide to run. But realistically, running for 100 miles is a bit of a challenge. So what you might then do is decide to do a little run, then a walk, run and walk. But even after doing that, you're going to get exhausted. Not unless you're a marathon runner, of course. But the reality is, if you've got somewhere to go that is really important and you've got to get there, it might be that you've got to go and get the kids, from wherever you've dropped them off. The only way that you're going to get there is to walk. And you've got to keep going. You're going to put one foot in front of the other and you're going to keep going. And that is very much like the weight loss journey. On the weight loss journey, we know that we've got a certain amount of weight to lose. It might be £10, it might be £20, 50, 100, even £200. And you know that by just doing nothing, that's not going to get you a result. It might even be that you might think, you know what, I'm just going to go back to my old habits. You know that that's not going to get you to where you need to get to. And you know that you've got to get there. You've got to lose the weight. So by putting one foot in front of the other every day, taking a tiny little step every day, you are going to get to your destination. On the journey, when we put one foot in front of each other, we take one day at a time, one meal at a time, we're going to get there. Sometimes we might think, you know what, I'm going to restrict. I'm going to cut out the bread, I'm going to cut out the sugar, I'm going to cut out the cakes and the biscuits. It's kind of like us doing a sprint. And again, when we sprint, like on that journey, we might, it might get us so far. It might get us, even half a mile down the road. It might even get us, 2 or 3 weeks into the journey. But what's going to happen? We're going to burn out. And then it's not doable. So what happens is we either stop and we give up, or we go back to our old habits. So when I was started my weight loss journey, last week I talked about the three things that I stopped doing that wasn't serving me. And this week I'm going to talk about three things. There's lots of other things, but three key things that I did on my journey that really that helped me to keep going, to help me to not burn out, to help me to not do the sprint. Yeah, I stopped doing the sprint. I was like, I'm just going to walk at a nice, steady pace. Because when I do that, I know that I'm going to get to my destination. But I know that if I do a sprint and I cut out this and I cut out that and I start putting in place habits that I know is not going to serve me well or I'm not going to live, that's going to halt me. I'm going to stop and I'm going to go back to my old habits. So, three things that I've focused in on. Number one is protein. When I discovered the power of protein on the weight loss journey, it really made a massive difference for me. What protein does, it makes us feel fuller for longer because of the nature of the food. It's the amino acids, the fiber, how it's, what am I trying to say? The nature of it. So if you look at it's lean tissue, that's what I'm trying to say, because it's lean meat, lean tissue. Our bodies take a lot longer to break that down and to digest it. So that's why we feel fuller for longer. Whereas if we eat something like simple carbs, like bread, it gets digested really quickly in our stomachs. So that's when we eat refined carbs, there's a difference between simple carbs and complex carbs. Well, when we eat the simple carbs, those refined carbs, our bodies digest those foods really easily and really quickly. So we can then feel hungry, an hour, 2 hours after eating that. But when we eat protein, lean meat, the chicken breast, the chicken thighs, the fish, the eggs, the dairy products, the legumes, all the beans and the pulses, because our bodies take a lot longer to digest those foods, we feel fuller for longer and we feel more satisfied. And when I discovered that, I was like, right, that's it. I've got to eat protein in every single meal. Every meal I'm going to have protein. And I started to stock up on those. And you might have seen on my channel, I've got a couple of videos where I've been to Aldi and Lidl, and I have done some videos about those foods in those stores that are protein rich. So that information is there for you. So when I discovered that, it started to make a huge difference. So when I started to have those, that revolutionized my journey, because up until then, I didn't understand the value and the importance of having protein. So I would be like typical. I would be having breakfast cereals thinking that those were healthy. We think that it's healthy because we're told it's healthy. But there was no no protein in it. So I would have my cereal, and by the time I'd left the house, I was hungry. I'd get to work, and I was like, right, I'm hungry. I need to eat. And then that's when I'd be snacking, right up until lunchtime. And then lunchtime would come, I would have something light, maybe salad, but no protein in it. And I was still hungry. Then I'd get home and then I'd have something, again, very little protein. I was constantly hungry, and I would be eating to satisfy the hunger, But all that was doing was just bulking up calories, eating a huge amount of calories. And instead of losing weight, I was gaining weight. So when I realised actually I need to have protein at every single meal, made a massive difference, because now, as I mentioned earlier, a protein takes a lot longer to digest. So I was feeling so much more satisfied, and now wasn't snacking. And full disclaimer, guys, I always like to give this full disclaimer. My first 9 stone I lost just by intermittent fasting, mindful eating, and doing it, losing that weight that way. And my last 3 stones I have used Manjaro, and I'm on Manjaro because I'm a type 2 diabetic and we need to get my blood sugars under control. Now, even being on Manjaro, I still have to practice that, because I have had times where I've had my Manjaro, but I'm like feeling really hungry, and I'm like, why am I feeling hungry? And when I stop and think about it, it's because I've not had enough protein. Not had enough. So protein, really, really important. And having lots of protein. I mean, if I have been asked, is there such a thing as having too much protein? You can have too much of anything. That's the reality. You can have too much of anything, but most people are not gonna. In fact, lots of studies show that most people are not eating enough protein in the day. So the chances that the average person is going to eat too much protein is, very rare, very rare. So, getting lots of protein in my meals, every meal, every single day, keeps me feeling fuller for longer, keeps me feeling satisfied, reduced my snacking. Because it's the snacking for me that is where the calories are, and that is what's going to make me gain the weight. But also we know that when we eat protein, good quality protein, like the lean meats, the eggs, the fish, the dairy, the legumes. I don't necessarily mean the proteins in processed foods, because that's another topic. But when we have that, then it preserves muscle mass. And as we get older, when we're over 50, we're in menopause, it's easy to start losing muscle mass. And it's not a good look when you've lost a lot of weight and you've lost your muscle mass, because you look really thin. And certainly for me, I want to look healthy. I want to be able to have muscles. I want to be able to have my strength. I want to be able to move and lift things and carry things and, walk for a long time. I want to do all of those things. And with a health condition that I live with, that's really important that I really retain my muscle. So eating protein helps to preserve muscle mass, but also supports the metabolism. And it also provides our body with good nutrition as well, because, there are amino acids that our body needs that we can only get from protein. So lots of good reasons why we need protein. So that's the first thing that I did, that I started doing on my weight loss journey to losing 173 pounds, was to ensure that I have protein in every meal. So the second thing that I did on my journey to losing 173 pounds was to manage my portions. Got somebody calling me. Was to manage my portions and to practice mindful eating. That was so important for me. Now, when I share these things with you, I'm just sending somebody a message because they keep calling me. Okay, there we go. The wonders of technology, eh? So I started off on lots of different programs. I've done Slimming World, Weight Watchers, I've counted calories, I've done the liquid diets, I've done paleo, Mediterranean, Atkins, you name it, I've probably done it. And one of the things that a lot of those programs encourage, and this works for lots of people, didn't work for me, was that, you know, they were like, you know, you can have lots and lots of food. Yeah, fill your plate with lots of low pointed foods, 0 pointed foods, low sin food, low calorie foods. You could pile your plate high with that. Now that might work for you, and if it does, carry on doing that. But for me, what that did, that led me on a really dangerous route. Because whilst one day I may fill my plate with this huge salad with lots of low pointed or low calorie foods, lots of chicken and fish and lots of eggs and stuff, and I had this huge plate filled with low calorie, low pointed, low sin foods, what that did was it affected my mindset, and it told me that lots of food can equal weight loss. And when I wasn't in the mindset to eat those low pointed foods or low calorie foods or low sin foods, what then happened was I was still filling my plate with food that was still high calorie, high points, high sin. And I was eating that because the mindset had shifted to say, I could still eat loads of food. I could pile it all on, and that's okay. So for me, and for me alone, that was a very dangerous strategy. So I stopped doing that. And what I started doing was really being careful about my portion, whether it was low calories or low sins, low whatever, or whether it was high, I would still manage my portions, and I would eat really slowly. Even if I'm eating a salad, right, lettuce leaves, I'm still eating it really slowly, because it's not about the food for me, it was about the mindset. It was about the mindset. So I'm going to eat a salad as slowly and as mindfully as I am fried chicken. I'm going to eat a slice of cucumber as slowly and as mindfully as I am a piece of chocolate. I'm going to drink my rum and coke as slowly as I would sip water. So I started doing that because it wasn't about the food. It was about the habits. And when I made that mindset shift and I realised, actually, I can still have that chocolate. I can still have the cake. I can have the ice cream or the alcohol. I can still have that, but I still need to manage the portion and eat it mindfully. The same way, I need to do that every single day, at every single meal, at every interaction with food, regardless of whether it was chocolate cake or a slice of cucumber. So I started doing that. I started to manage the portion, and eat really mindfully. And that is really, so together with the mindful eating and the managing the portions and eating the protein, that was my golden ticket. There was a few other things, but those were the golden ticket to me losing 173 pounds without tracking on an app, without fretting how many calories is this, without having to record how many points or sins it was, without having to do any of that. And to me, that was absolute freedom. And just like with the analogy that I mentioned right at the top about going down the road to my destination with my vehicle being broken down and being able to continue going down that road step by step by step, that made a massive difference to me. And it was that practice was able to keep me not just losing weight, but help me to keep the weight off, because now my weight loss wasn't dependent on how many points or sins or calories I was eating, wasn't dependent on whether I used an app or to track or write it down, wasn't dependent on any of those. Now it was because I'd shifted the mindset. And then the third thing that I started doing was making sure that I get adequate sleep. And I didn't realise, and I'm being totally honest now, until I started at Weight Watchers and then became a weight loss coach and did my independent training, I honestly didn't realise how important sleep was. But here's why. Here is the ultimate why sleep is so important to the weight loss journey. Now, I mentioned this briefly last week and said I'm going to do a lot more videos about this, because we don't hear in the weight loss space, we hear a lot about activity, moving our bodies, we hear an awful lot about food, but what we don't hear a lot about is hormones. We don't hear a lot about hormones. Now, there's two hormones that affect our weight loss, and that is the hormone ghrelin and leptin. And if we don't get enough sleep, those hormones are wildly impacted. Now, let me ask you, have you ever been restless and not had good quality sleep, and then the next day you wake up and you're just craving carbs, you want like biscuits for breakfast, you want the sugary cereals, you want toast, you're just craving food, you want last night's pizza, you're just hungry, you want food. If that's the case, very likely that your hormone leptin has been affected. So when we get sufficient sleep, our hormones have a chance to balance. Yeah, our hormones have that opportunity to balance. Now, there's a reason why Mr. Kellogg thought, I know, I'm going to start a business and provide people with lots of sugary cereals in the morning. And it's because if you've not slept well, your body is craving that carb, it's craving the sugar, because the sugar is going to give you, your body thinks that the sugar is going to give you the energy that it needs, and it'll spike your energy, and then what will happen is you crash. Okay, so Mr. Kellogg thought, I know, people are not sleeping well, we'll give them lots of sugary cereals, and that'll boost their energy levels, which it will do. It will do. But then you'll crash. And when you crash, you might get that slump around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, where you're just tired, you want to sleep. And then come lunchtime, you think, I'm going to eat. And then you have a sandwich and it's carbs. This used to happen to me all the time, and I could never understand it. Why, after eating my lunch, which was always like a sandwich or a baguette, I'd be like 10 sheets to the wind. I'd like crash. I'd just want to sleep. My energy levels had gone. I'd be exhausted. It was because I'd filled the need for those hormones with carbs. It's given me a spike, and then I crashed. My hormones was impacted. So having good quality sleep can impact those hormones. So I've mentioned leptin. Leptin is the hormone that manages our satiety, and it gives us a feeling of being full. But if that hormone is off, we're going to always be feeling hungry. And then ghrelin is our second hormone, and that's known as the hunger hormone, and that stimulates stimulates our appetite, and then controls how much food we eat. So if our sleep is off, then we'll wake up feeling hungry because of leptin, and then the ghrelin kicks in, the hunger hormone, and then we just want to eat. We want to eat. Yeah. So when we get good quality sleep, those hormones are settled. But then when we do have that good quality sleep and our body is fully rested, we're going to wake up feeling energized. If we feel energized, we're likely to have the energy to think clearly, to make good food choices. We might even have the energy to cook a meal in the morning. And when we cook that, we're going to, feel full. We're going to feel satisfied. We might even have the energy to do some kind of activity, to walk, to get to the gym, to go for that swim, whatever it is that we do, the energy to get the kids ready, to get the kids out to school, to walk to work, whatever it is, we've got the energy to do that because we've had that good night's sleep. And we've got that clarity of mind, to be able to do our activities throughout the day. Yeah. But if we haven't had that good quality sleep, let me know in the chat box how it affects you. And for some people, it takes a while for you to make that connection. It took a long time for me to make the connection that not having good quality sleep was affecting me throughout the day. And then it was impacting my choices. And those choices was hindering my weight loss and even making me gain weight. So I'm just going to come to some of your comments here. So Teratio says, I understand weighing and measuring at the beginning of your journey may help, but you can't keep doing that. It's a real pain. And do you know what? Again, it goes back to what I was saying about on that analogy. We may start out on that journey, the car's broken down, we've got somewhere to go, and we might think, you know what, I'm going to start walking and then I'm going to start running, do a sprint. But we can't maintain that sprint for 100 miles. And it's like that with all those habits that we get taught in various weight loss clubs. We're taught to, track everything we eat and drink, to weigh and measure everything we eat and drink. All of those habits, write it down, follow the recipes, do this, do that. That can work, right at the start of the journey for so many people. But then what happens is you run out of steam and it's not sustainable. So a lot of people then give up, because you try running 100 miles, unless you are, an athlete. For most people, I know for me, I can't even run a mile. I can't even run half a mile. But what happens is we start out with unrealistic expectations, and then we run out of steam, and then we think this program isn't working. It's not working. And it's not that the program isn't working. It's not that Weight Watchers or Slimming World or counting calories doesn't work. It's that they've set you up at the start with habits that are not sustainable for a lot of people. I say that because they weren't sustainable for me. And as a weight loss coach, I saw that those habits were not sustainable for a lot of people. And a lot of people would give up within. In fact, we were often taught that if people come back with, a lot of people would start week 1. If people came back at the end of the first month, you've got them for life. But most people you'd see them the first week, they come back after they've done the program for a week because they want to know what their results were. A lot of people didn't come back week 2, didn't come back, even less came back week 3. And on average, if 20 people started on week 1, maybe 2 came back at the end of week 4, because people were set up with habits that were not sustainable for life. And weighing and measuring was one of them. Yeah. So yeah, I totally hear what you say, Horatio. It's great at the beginning because we're all excited. It's something new. We've got, hope. We've got hope that we're going to lose our weight. We're going to get to our destination. We've got that hope. But after a period of time, it's not sustainable. So people give up. And you know what? I often heard people say things like, they're coming back to their weight loss program, Weight Loss Watchers, Slimming World, whatever it is. They're coming back after, I don't know, the 6th or 7th time. And the funny thing is they say, I'm coming back because I know it works. And I'm like, if the program worked, you would never have stopped and you would never have regained your weight. If a program or a system works, you would still be doing it and you wouldn't have regained your weight. So that is something that I always get people to ponder on. Again, on that journey, if you're walking and you're heading towards your destination, if walking towards your destination is going to work and get you there, why would you stop and go back? That's why I love analogies. Yeah, just keep going. But keep going with things that are going to work for you. So I stopped the weighing, the measuring, the tracking, stopped those because that for me wasn't sustainable. And I started doing what worked for me, and that is what's helped me to lose 173 pounds. And I'm still going. And again, guys, sometimes, it takes time for you to realize it. It took me ages to really take notice and make those correlations between the good sleep and the not so good sleep. Yeah. Even on Manjaro. So last night, if you know me, I do struggle a lot with my health, and I've got a lot of pain in my hip at the moment. So it was painful. Lying on my hip was painful last night. And of course it rained as well. And I'm always worse when it rains. The arthritis, it's not an old wives' tale. It is true. When it rains or it's going to rain, I feel it in my joints. That's another story for another time. And whilst I slept, I didn't sleep as deeply or as well as I normally did. And normally in the summer, I'm up at 5 o'clock, 5:30. Didn't wake up till gone 7 this morning. And I thought, that was because I was extra tired. But I woke up now, I just, even though I'm on Manjaro, I was just craving something sweet and sugary. And I thought it's interesting that I'm talking about this today. So yeah, those hormones make that difference. So really important to pay attention to our sleep. So when I started paying attention to my sleep, started to make a difference. More often than that, as I just said, there will be times that due to health, I'm not going to get that good quality sleep. But when I do get that good quality sleep, it makes a huge difference to me. I wake up, I feel energized, I've got the energy, I've got the clarity of mind, I feel really good about myself, I make good choices. If I don't get good sleep, all I want to do is eat the biscuits, I want the chocolate, the emotional eating kicks in, and I want to just crawl into bed and just watch TV or be on my phone. So hormones make a difference. So in order to support that, what I do is I have a sleep routine. So I get up in the morning, I make my bed, open the windows. As my bath is running, I'm like cleaning, I dust, I polish, I tidy, get rid of all my cups and all of that, get my bedroom nice and clean, have my bath, and then by the time I leave my room is nice and clean, nice and tidy. The bed is fluffed, everything, it's ready for tonight. So tonight I'll usually put, I'm terrible, even in this heat, I'll still put candles on. And my candles are burning throughout the day as well. So I'll have the candles on, I'll go up, I'll put the soft light on. And the room is nice and clean, it's nice and fresh, it smells good. I have a bath and then into bed. And my TV's broken in my room, but I haven't watched TV in my room for ages. For absolutely ages, and that I think has really helped me as well, not having the TV, because I used to put the TV on and fall asleep watching TV, and then my mind used to be whirling all over the place. So yeah, so I set my room up in the morning and it's ready for me, and I actually look forward to going to bed because I know my room smells nice, it's nice and clean, it's tidy, the bed is going to be comfortable. I look forward to that, and that really supports me. So guys, there we go. Let me just see any more comments. Say, oh Tony, your sleep has been terrible since you've been on your cardiac medication. And yeah, we do know that medication can impact your sleep. Health conditions can impact sleep. So then it's kind of thinking about, is there anything that can support you? Do you know what? I am a trained menopause coach, and I was talking to one of my colleagues this week, and she was saying that the menopause is really affecting her sleep. So we talked about a number of different things, such as reducing alcohol in the evening. But she also said she thinks that the alcohol actually knocked her out and helped her to sleep. So yeah, there's always a flip side. But the other thing is activity. We talked about activity, and as we were talking about it, she said, you know what? She says, I didn't realise that you've just made me think about that, because she said not only was she drinking alcohol, but she was also dancing. She was dancing the evening away. That's also activity. And she said she got home and she had the best sleep for a long time. So yeah, either reducing the alcohol or drink. For some people, not that I'm ever going to advocate it, but for some people, if you're drinking alcohol, it can knock you out. But we also say definitely activity for some people can help them to sleep, but for some people it can stimulate them and they can find it hard to sleep. I know that having a bath at night always helps me sleep because I'm nice and relaxed, I feel clean and refreshed. But for other people, it stimulates them and they can't sleep. So it's finding what works for you. So, really important to really understand our bodies and what works for us rather than following a strict program. Yeah, rather than following it strictly. It's because we're all different, all different. Yeah, Deanna, you're the same as Horatio. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And D Shaw says, thanks for answering. That will make it makes so much sense. And you will definitely try and get more sleep. Yeah. So, maybe create yourself a sleep routine. Yeah. And I will do more videos about that in the future, about how different routines, how we can create those sleep routines. Because interestingly, we set a sleep routine for children to help them get good sleep, but as we get older, we don't do it for ourselves. Yeah, maybe think about that. um and Deanna, these slimming clubs tell us we need to get a good night's sleep, but they don't explain what is happening with the hormones which can prevent weight loss. Absolutely, Deanna, absolutely. They give us half the story, but also not only can it prevent weight loss, but it can cause weight gain as well. Because if you're not getting enough sleep, your hormones are all over the place. There's cravings kick in, and we're going to be eating those refined carbs, the sugary things, and all of that is going to be excess calories and help us to gain. Yeah, it honestly, guys, if you're struggling with your weight loss, either you're gaining weight or you're struggling to lose it, pay attention to your sleep. Yeah, and just note whether you've had a good sleep or not and how you feel the next day. That's the start of it. And then when you notice that, then you can start putting things in place. So guys, just to wrap up, 3 things that I started doing on my journey to help me lose 173 pounds. I'm still losing, and I've not gained that weight back, not gained it back. In the past, I would have lost maybe a stone and put it back on. In fact, at the start of lockdown, I lost about 4 stone and I gained the weight back. So it happens to a lot of us. But when I started doing these 3 things, there's more things that I did, but I'd be here for 5 hours if I was to go through all of them. But I just wanted to pull out 3 things, and those 3 things that I started doing to help me to lose the weight, continue losing, and not regain the weight is I ensure that I have protein in every single meal. And even if I'm going to have snacks, I'm going to have protein snacks. Okay. Also, so that was number 1, really key. Number 2, really super important, is managing my portions and mindful eating. And number 3, getting good quality and adequate sleep. Even if I don't have, like today, I will probably have a nap in the day, because I didn't get 100% good sleep because of my hip. So I'll probably have a nap today. Even having those little power naps can really regulate our hormones. So guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for being here. As I said at the top, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. Drop a comment below as well, and I will get around to answering it later today. And also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Feel free to head over there and like and follow me. Look out on the community page, because there's going to be information coming about my membership, which we're revising. I've got 2 tiers of membership that I'm going to be launching. So look out for information on that, and also look out for an exciting training program. It's called 10 Weeks, 10 Mindsets. That is going to be launching very soon. It's going to be starting from the 7th of September to the 9th of November, a 10-week program, a 10-week course, but there's going to be lots of information coming on it about it on the membership, on the community page, and also on my social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Whatever you do, have a lovely, lovely day, and I will see you all very soon.